On January 30th, 2026, the United States Department of Justice released the largest document dump in American legal history. Over 3 million pages, more than 2,000 videos, 180,000 images, all related to one man, convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The files contain names you know: tech billionaires, former presidents, foreign dignitaries, Wall Street titans. But they also contain something far more disturbing: allegations of systemic failures, victim exploitation, and questions about who knew what and when. Today, Breaking Worldview breaks down what's actually inside these files, separates fact from speculation, and asks the critical question: will there ever be justice for Epstein's victims? Let's dive in. To understand this release, we need to understand how we got here. The law: on November 18, 2025, the United States House of Representatives passed the Epstein Files Transparency Act in a stunning 470 dissents to 1 vote. The Senate approved it unanimously. President Trump signed it the next day. The law was simple. The Department of Justice had 30 days until December 19, 2025, to release all unclassified federal documents related to Jeffrey Epstein and his convicted accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell. The deadline missed. December 19th came and went. The DOJ released only a small fraction, around 3,500 documents. They were heavily redacted. Some were completely blacked out. Critics from both political parties called it inadequate. The massive release then, on January 30th, 2026, more than 40 days late, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche announced at a press conference that the DOJ was releasing over 3 million additional pages. According to Blanche, this represented completion of their legal obligation under the Epstein Files Transparency Act. But here's the problem: the DOJ identified approximately 6 million pages as potentially responsive to the law. They're releasing only about 3.5 million total. What about the other 2.5 million pages? The DOJ says nearly 3 million pages are being withheld for several reasons: child abuse material, protection of victims' rights, legal privileges, duplicate documents, unrelated materials. But members of Congress from both parties are demanding answers. Representatives Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie, who co-sponsor the transparency law, have formally requested to review the unredacted files. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer publicly questioned Attorney General Pam Bondi, writing, "Your numbers keep changing. You say you collected 6 million pages, but you're only releasing 3 million. What's in the 3 million that are missing?" The fight for full transparency is far from over. So what's actually inside these 3 million pages? According to Deputy Attorney General Blanche, the files came from Wild Came Water. We're writing this by your audible, if breaking. Amrita Brediept, Besinamking, Rikkel Fraven with Abelbraint. Revetting White, Mickens beregging that of a vikage. Amida Valang Maxwell investigations into Estenu Think Bridal. Ispitime Prey Introductions. The documents include court records and legal filing SBI interview transcripts. The documents include court records and legal filings, FBI interview transcripts, known as 3Os, email correspondence, phone records, and call logs, handwritten notes, grand jury presentations, photos from records, at every instant time, SBTime Sabadet Prida. Edender is, SF is Bickens, in Herida. This is important. Not everything in these files is verified. Some materials are unsubstantiated tips from the public. The prominent names, the files mention dozens of high-profile individuals. According to news organizations that have reviewed the documents, these names include President Donald Trump, former President Bill Clinton, tech billionaire Elon Musk, Microsoft founder Bill Gates, former Prince Andrew, now Andrew Mountbatten, Windsor, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, former Obama White House counsel Kathy Roendler, former Harvard President Larry Summers. Wall Street figures and celebrities being mentioned in these files does not mean someone committed a crime. Many of these individuals appear in emails, photos, or documents simply because they knew Epstein socially or professionally years ago. Deputy Attorney General Blanche was emphatic about this at his press conference. The American people need to understand that it isn't a crime to party with Mr. Epstein. None of these individuals have been charged with crimes related to Epstein, and many have denied any knowledge of his criminal activities. Specific examples from the files: Elon Musk. Multiple emails from 2012-2014 show Musk coordinating trips to Epstein's private Caribbean island. In one November 2012 email, Musk asked Epstein, "What day/night will be the wildest party on your island?" In December 2014, another email shows Epstein's assistant reminding Epstein that Elon Musk is to go to the island on December 6th. This contradicts Musk's previous statements. In 2019, Musk told Vanity Fair that Epstein tried repeatedly to get me to visit his island, but that he refused. Last September, after earlier file releases, Musk posted on X, "Epstein tried to get me to go to his island and IRFU said." Musk has since clarified that he had very little correspondence with Epstein and declined repeated invitations, but acknowledged some emails could be misinterpreted. Bill Gates. The files include emails discussing Gates' relationship with Epstein. Some emails suggest Gates sought Epstein's advice on matters including a potential affair. A Gates representative told the New York Times these claims come from a proven disgruntled liar and are absolutely absurd and completely false. We know from previous reporting that Bill and Melinda Gates' divorce was partly influenced by Melinda's discomfort with her husband's relationship with Epstein. Howard Lutnick, Commerce Secretary. Documents show Lutnick and his family visited Epstein's private island in December 2012, with his wife coordinating travel plans for their 4 children and another family. This appears to contradict Lutnick's previous statements that he cut ties with Epstein decades ago. Donald Trump. The files contain thousands of references to Trump, including emails where Epstein and others shared news articles about Trump, photos from Mar-a-Lago and other locations, an FBI spreadsheet documenting unverified allegations called in to tip lines. That last item deserves special attention. The FBI tip line document, one spreadsheet in the files, summarizes calls to the FBI's National Threat Operations Center with allegations about Trump and others. The document explicitly notes these are UN-verified tips from the public. Deputy Attorney General Blanche addressed this directly, saying the FBI fielded hundreds of calls about prominent individuals that were quickly determined to not be credible. The DOJ issued a statement calling the allegations unfounded and false, and noting the files may include fake or falsely submitted images, documents, or videos. Trump has consistently denied any wrongdoing related to Epstein. He has never been charged with any Epstein-related crimes. Bill Clinton. Previous document releases showed Clinton took several trips on Epstein's private plane in 2002 and 2003. Clinton's spokesperson said these were work-related trips for the Clinton Foundation, with staff and Secret Service present. The new files include additional emails and photos, but no evidence of criminal wrongdoing. Former Prince Andrew. The files contain hundreds of references to Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, including private emails and photographs. Virginia Roberts Giuffre has publicly accused him of sexual encounters when she was 17. Andrew settled a civil lawsuit with Giuffre, but has denied the allegations. He's ignored a request from the House Oversight Committee for a transcribed interview. But the biggest controversy isn't about the powerful men mentioned in the files. It's about the victims. The redaction failure. The DOJ claimed it had carefully redacted victim identifying information. Over 500 attorneys and reviewers worked on this process. But within hours of the Friday release, victims' attorneys were raising alarms. Spencer Kuvin, an attorney for multiple Epstein survivors, called the failure patently absurd. He told CBS News that 2 of his clients were clearly identified in the release. The Department of Justice doesn't care about victims one bit, Kuvin said. This is not rocket science. Attorney Brad Edwards, representing numerous survivors, contacted the DOJ immediately, saying it was an impossible job, and that the DOJ should have tipped in all the victims' names, hit redact like they promised to do, then release them. The victim statement. 20 Epstein survivors issued a joint statement condemning the release. This latest release of Jeffrey Epstein files is being sold as transparency, but what it actually does is expose survivors. Once again, survivors are having their names and identifying information exposed, while the men who abused us remain hidden and protected. That is outrageous. As survivors, we should never be the ones named, scrutinized, and re-traumatized while Epstein's enablers continue to benefit from secrecy. The DOJ response. On Monday, February 3rd, the DOJ acknowledged in a letter to federal judges that it had taken down several thousand documents and media that may have inadvertently included victim identifying information due to various factors, including technical or human error. U.S. Attorney Jay Clayton stated the DOJ has iteratively revised its protocols and has teams of personnel monitoring requests from victims and their lawyers. But for many survivors, this is too little, too late. The damage is done. Their identities, some of which had been protected for years, are now public, so we know what's in the files. But what's not in them might be even more important. No client list. Despite conspiracy theories and speculation, Deputy Attorney General Blanche was clear. There is no secret client list of Epstein's sex trafficking victims' abusers. There's this built-in assumption that somehow there's this hidden tranche of information of men that we know about, that we're covering up, or that we're not choosing to prosecute, Blanche said. That is not the case. A DOJ memo from July 2025 stated that no credible evidence was found that Epstein blackmailed prominent individuals. No new prosecutions. On February 2, 2026, Deputy Attorney General Blanche stated there would be no additional prosecutions related to Epstein. There's a lot of correspondence. There's a lot of emails. There's a lot of photographs, Blanche said, but the materials do not allow us necessarily to prosecute somebody. This is devastating news for survivors seeking justice. The withheld documents. Congressional Democrats are demanding to see specific documents they say the DOJ is withholding. FBI 302 victim interview statements. A draft indictment from the 2007 Florida investigation. A prosecution memorandum from that same investigation. Hundreds of thousands of emails from Epstein's computers, Representatives Canna and Massey wrote. Congress cannot properly assess the department's handling of the Epstein and Maxwell cases without access to the complete record. They're now considering contempt or impeachment proceedings against senior DOJ officials if compliance doesn't improve. So why does this matter? 1. Justice for victims. Jeffrey Epstein is dead. Ghislaine Maxwell is serving 20 years in prison. But according to court documents and victim testimony, there were others involved in the sex trafficking operation. Yet no one else has been prosecuted. The survivors group statement put it plainly: the Justice Department cannot claim it is finished releasing files until every legally required document is released, and any abuser and enabler is fully exposed. 2. Accountability for the elite. The Epstein case has become a symbol of a justice system that appears to have different rules for the wealthy and powerful. Remember, in 2008, Epstein accepted a sweetheart plea deal arranged by then U.S. Attorney Alexander Acosta that let him avoid federal prosecution. He pleaded guilty to a state charge and served just 18 months in jail, during which he was allowed to leave for work 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. That deal was widely condemned as inappropriate for someone accused of underage girls. 3. The question of knowledge. Many prominent people maintain relationships with Epstein, even after his 2008 conviction. The new files show communications continuing into the 2010s. As one CNN analysis noted, it strains credulity to believe that some of the most sophisticated people in the world with whom he associated suspected nothing about his proclivities. Did people know? Should they have known? And if they did know, why did they continue associating with him? 4. Political implications. The file release has political ramifications. President Trump campaigned partly on promises to release the Epstein files and expose corruption among elites. Now, his own Justice Department has released files that mention him alongside other powerful figures. Trump has called it a conspiracy against me, literally, by Epstein and other people. But Trump has also said it's really time for the country to get onto something else. Critics note that approach contrasts sharply with his campaign rhetoric about transparency and accountability.